Welcome, everyone, to the Real Whovians Cast, episode 569. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I am with Connor Farley. What's up, Connor?
Hello.
What's up, Connor Ryan Smith?
Hello.
What's up, Mike D?
Hello.
All right, so, Connor Smith, what do you got for us? Because I know you had this whole thing that you were talking about with your dad, about Russell T. Davies and Stephen Moffat, so go ahead. Tell us.
Basically, right, what I was saying was, in the chat the other day, there was some people talking about the first 5 years of New Who being great because Russell T. Davies wrote it and they were saying something about Stephen Moffat writing it and it was rubbish. And I was like, well, it's not real because we've had a great Doctor and we've had two great Doctors with Russell T. Davies and two great Doctors with Stephen Moffat, so I don't get what the problem is. And I was basically saying Russell T. Davies uses New Who, as it's called, as his distinction, as his thing to say, like, it's his, like, to own it instead of saying it's, like, Doctor Who. He says it's New Doctor Who or Doctor Who 2005. Whereas Stephen Moffat just calls it Doctor Who because he's, like, patched things up so much over his tenure, basically, because he's had to patch up the whole thing with the Time War, which if you don't already know.
See, but like when you say patch up, right? This is where I disagree completely. But we may agree to disagree. But I want to hear what you have to say, and then Connor's going to comment, Mike D's going to comment. I'm definitely going to comment.
Yeah.
Because my philosophy, the way I see things, is that I thought Russell T. Davies was phenomenal. I thought Russell T. Davies was better at character-driven episodes. Russell T. Davies was the boss of Stephen Moffat, and he controlled the direction of Blink, Girl in the Fireplace, The Doctor Dances, The Empty Child, all of that, as well as Silence of the Library, Forest of the Dead. Okay, so those were amazing from Stephen Moffat under the leadership of Russell T. Davies.
Yes.
Everything made complete sense to me with Russell T. Davies because he explained in the end of time that the reason the Doctor started the Time War, blew up the thing, is because the Time Lords were more evil than the Daleks, that Rassilon had, basically plagued everybody's mind, saying that they're going to become beings of pure consciousness and that they want to just take over everything. The hell with it. You saw Night of the Doctor that the people are so scared of Time Lords they would rather die than to travel with the Doctor. So basically he explained it. He laid it all out, Russell T. Davies. He spread it out a little bit where you found out that the Ninth Doctor, was fresh, regenerated after the Time War. Boom. Gallifrey is destroyed. He comes back to his second home. He gets Rose as a companion. Okay? That's the way it was. It was never, ever, ever that the Ninth Doctor pressed the button. Ever. Okay? He even said in Rose Tyler's house when he's looking in the mirror, oh, this new face. He just regenerated, okay? He just regenerated. All right? That's what I'll make it clear. The Ninth Doctor just regenerated, healed a little bit, and then Rose episode started. All right? So it was always going to be the Eighth Doctor that pushed the button. Now, if Stephen Moffat had a bone to pick, he had, even in the interviews when they went through every single Doctor, when it came to the Eighth Doctor, he hated the Eighth Doctor. Because the Eighth Doctor was from America, and the BBC didn't have complete control. So he felt, oh, crap. The one Doctor that ends the whole thing is not even our Doctor. So he had it in his head from the day one that he was going to change everything around. He couldn't accept it. Okay. The problem I also have with Steve Moffat is he screwed around with Russell T. Davies' scripts to kind of contradict stuff that even Russell T. Davies has got pissed off with. That I'm honestly, and also he never liked the character of Rose. So at every turn, he tried to create a new girlfriend or wife for the Doctor. Okay, he tried Madame de Pompadour, he tried River Song, he tried to throw stuff in there that shows that the Doctor could be with someone else other than Rose. And when the 50th anniversary happened, of course, everybody wanted Billy Piper back. He was like, damn, I can't do it without Billy Piper, even though I can't stand Rose. So what does he do? He makes her the consciousness of the weapon there, that she, the bad wolf, okay? So he kind of got his way. Also, he says it's Doctor Who, right? He can't stand, okay, bringing in the classic Doctors, other than the Fifth Doctor for other reasons, okay? He never wanted them in the 50th. He could have had the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, everybody, okay? And he didn't. Instead, we got a cop-out where we got Tom Baker as the curator, which is a hint that he's a future Doctor reusing the face. But we could have had so much more. We could have had past companions. We could have had everything. The only person who brought back past companions was Russell T. Davies in Sarah Jane Smith Adventures, where he brought back Joe Grant, Sarah Jane, mentioned Tegan Javank and a whole bunch of people, and even had the 10th Doctor and 11th Doctor, okay? Russell T. Davies. So that's my opinion. I like both Russell T. Davies and Stephen Moffat, but Stephen Moffat likes to take over everything and make it in his own way, and sometimes he steps over the line and tries to contradict who came before him, Russell T. Davies, which they were fighting in Doctor Who magazine. So now I'm going to let you go with your synopsis. I'm not going to talk anymore, and Connor Farley and Mike D are going to stick. So again, go with the whole thing.
So I was saying, like, because of the end of the Doctor Who movie, we got no real sort of regeneration, so we don't really know what happened. There was no real continuity because it was because the movie, they thought if it made enough money, they were going to do a whole TV series with Paul McGann as Doctor Who, but it didn't work out. So it was like, what do we do? Should we just leave it? So then it came back, and obviously, as you said, Joe, fresh new face, everything's changed. But obviously, as you said, the Ninth Doctor never pushed that button, and no one would believe that the Eighth Doctor would. So there had to be a different character there to have done that. So
well, no one would believe. No, only Moffat wouldn't believe it was the Eighth Doctor. Russell T. Davies said the Eighth Doctor pushed the button. Okay, so it was only Moffat that just he wanted to be the guy that explained the regeneration thing. So he had to find a way to use him up quickly. So that was the whole thing. And the reason why Christopher Eccleston did not appear in the 50th was because Moffat wanted him to be the mass murderer that killed 5, 6, 10 billion people on Gallifrey. And he said, one, according to Russell T. Davies, that never happened. It wasn't my Doctor. And that's not what I signed on for. I am not going to be that Doctor that did that. Never. So they says, well, then that's it. We're done. So that's why, and to tell you the truth, all these magazines posting that Christopher Eccleston don't give a crap about Doctor Who, that's bullshit, because as of a couple of months ago, this guy went to Christopher Eccleston in a restaurant and asked him to help him propose to his wife. So he came out, he's like, hey, I'm the Doctor. Played all in character with his wife. I got the TARDIS over here. Let me get my companion. He loves Doctor Who, okay? Christopher Eccleston loves Doctor Who, okay? But it's only because Stephen Moffat tried to portray him like that all these stupid magazines and things are trying to tell, like, he's such a, like, ego and he don't want to be Doctor Who and he wants to do movies. That's all bullshit, okay? He loves Doctor Who. He loves the fans. And it was only because Moffat had an agenda. So that's the whole thing with that.
So yeah, alright, 1 minute. Yeah, so I was saying that obviously we did get continuity with the Eighth Doctor in the audio dramas, but we never. But those are great, the Eighth Doctor audio dramas. If you haven't watched them, yet listen to them, you should. So that's where the story went on after the Doctor Who movie, but that was like 11 years later. So you know, mixed up timelines and all that. So then I was thinking that Stephen Moffat had to make a link between old and new. So he did make a link between old and new, because Russell T Davies brought in this idea of a time war, which, to be honest, it's a brilliant plot device, and they've done lots with it, but I don't see the point in it at all. I just don't see the point in having all-out war. I don't see the point in destroying Gallifrey, because it's actually caused some of the problems that the Doctor faces today, and the Doctor's still not found Gallifrey, and people are blaming that Stephen Moffat. But technically, it's not his fault. It's Russell T Davies' fault, but I'm not saying anything to offend any of the writers or anyone. I'm just stating my opinion. And yeah, that's basically it. So, and then, as you were saying before, Joe, Christopher Eccleston loves Doctor Who, of course, but he did say in an interview he only ever watched Doctor Who if there was Daleks in it, and it was later revealed that he left Doctor Who because of the bullying that was going on set. So,
which is why he didn't come back for Day of the Doctor, not because he didn't want to be shown as a mass murderer.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing because of that, because Stephen Moffat wouldn't do that. Stephen Moffat wouldn't go steep to that level to try and destroy someone's Doctor, because in Day of the Doctor, David Tennant's brilliant, and he didn't try and destroy him in any way. He wrote him perfectly. And to be honest, if Christopher Eccleston would have been in that episode, it would have been brilliant. There would have been nothing about mass murder. It would have just been an anniversary episode. But as you were saying before, there was only one classic Doctor in it. But thinking about it, they're all old now, so they wouldn't exactly fit into the younger selves. So unless
there is a way they could have brought it back where they could have had, you know, Matt Smith confer with a data bank or a special room that we've never seen, the TARDIS, where, you know, it was linked at one point in time to a previous Doctor, and it could show what he looked like today if he was still in that incarnation, and he could have talked to himself. So they numerously in Moffat's season, you had little hints here and there when the TARDIS had repeated words from different Doctors and different things. He could have did something. I mean, they even explained when he encountered the Fifth Doctor, the 10th, that the time differential made him older than what he appeared. Okay,
yeah.
So they could have done that. All right. My big problem is that that's not true, because Christopher Eccleston was signed. He was going to shoot, and when he left, they were in the middle of shooting. Okay, so it was like the last minute. All right, and it was actually released before they were filming, before the release of the name of the Doctor. Okay, so he had to change the script right there and then. All right, so that's not the case. Now, as far as the bullying goes,
Eccleston was never signed.
What do you mean he was never signed?
He was never signed to do Day of the Doctor. He was completely finished with Doctor Who. That was it.
Well, why were they reporting that he was filming? He was going to be filming with them, and then he left.
What source did you see that from?
This was, I think, I believe it was on Doctor Who TV UK, and I think it was on a whole bunch.
If they reported something like that, we all would have heard about it, and I never heard a single word said about Eccleston's sign.
If that was true, and if he was in the 50th anniversary, if it had opted out, then there would have been petitions and Kickstarters. So
there wasn't a single murmur.
I'm not sure that he was actually signed for the Day of the Doctor.
I'm not saying he filmed anything. I'm saying that the read-throughs.
He was never written into the thing originally. The script was never changed. It was always going to be Matt, David, and John Hurt.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back and see if there's any articles on that, because I could have sworn we were all talking about it. Or maybe go
it
back
might
and
have
watch
been a rumour, but it was never officially confirmed.
There's always rumours going about, and they're ridiculous, so I never trust anything until it's confirmed.
Look at how they portrayed the Ninth Doctor, and that was never true, though. You know, that's not cool. Like
But
saying
how they portrayed the Ninth Doctor was perfect.
no, I'm saying I'm talking Christopher Eccleston, why he ain't coming back. That's baloney. He don't hate Doctor.
Why he wasn't coming back was because he didn't agree with the way that the BBC was running things.
He didn't agree with.
I thought he wasn't agreeing. I thought he wasn't agreeing with what the script was.
No, it was many things. One of them being to do with the fact that it's not confirmed, but it's highly speculated that it was Russell T Davies and Mark Gatiss and a few other men who were actually bullying people like producers on set. And now, obviously, if you found out to be bullying producers on set, as it's happened this month with Jeremy Clarkson, you can get sacked, because who knows what could have happened. And Jeremy Clarkson made that one mistake by abusing this producer and beating him up. Now, it might have been the case back then, but we don't know if they were abusing him on that scale. But he didn't agree with how the staff were treated. He just didn't agree with that at all. And, you know, and to be honest, it's like saying if you saw people get picked on at school,
no,
and that's
definitely,
what you just come back,
that's why
you wouldn't go back.
If that's why he left, that's different. But that's not what I heard while he left. But I'll talk to you guys.
He confirmed that's why he left, because of.
He even said himself, yeah, that's why he left.
Because of the bullying.
He didn't. No, it wasn't bullying per se. He just didn't agree with the way that the BBC were going about things, which is why many actors leave productions, because they don't agree with the creative insight that these writers are giving, or they don't agree with the way that they're being treated as an actor. Because
I don't agree with the way they treated Matt Smith. I mean, they hired Jenna Louise Coleman, and it's like, well, why aren't we signing Matt Smith? Where's the raise? And it was only until the end where they gave him this crappy raise. Well, of course I wouldn't stay. Because if it's more important for you to hire the assistant back than the actual main actor, why stay?
Well, I couldn't see Matt Smith going beyond 3 series anywhere. I think the absolute minimum that you need to stay, and I think that he pretty much.
I think if they would have took care of him right, he would have stayed.
Matt Smith said something along the lines of, now some people in this community won't agree with the following statement, but Matt Smith was at his peak at this point with all the fans and all the new fans, and everyone loved him, and he said he'd rather go out whilst he's at his peak.
But that's what David Tennant said. David Tennant said that he'd rather do it before he gets too old in the role. You have to wheel him on set in a wheelchair.
And he did go out on his peak, because Series 4 was his peak.
Right.
In my opinion, anyway.
But Matt Smith, they should have given him a bigger raise. He should have stayed another year to clear up all the loose plot holes that Moffat had created. And what does he do? He explains the whole series 5, 6, and 7 in one sentence in the Time of the Doctor, where he says that Madame Corvarian and a rogue offset of the church went back in time along this timeline and did that. One sentence explained the whole thing. We don't want that as fans.
Well, Corvarian only appeared in 1 series.
I know, but we don't want that as fans. We wanted a deep explanation, you know, and he didn't have time.
Well, Matt Smith was already getting offers for roles.
I know. And
he had to go and do some work on stage.
Yeah, he did the
Psycho.
American Psycho, right.
And then, obviously, it's speculated and rumoured that he might have left because of he was approached way back about Terminator, but we don't know that.
That's not true. That's not true at all. He was not approached back then. But he did, Ryan Gosling, was going to do How to Catch a Monster, which, it's funny how in the God Complex he says the same line, and then they changed it to River Road. But that movie, I suppose, is going direct to DVD now or something like that. So, but his career took off. I mean, you know. I'm sorry, I gotta keep going, Connie. I actually let Mike D interject if you want. No?
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
listening.
there you go.
Oh, I was listening to your chat that you were having. I don't like what do we? What's the point we're getting to with all of this? Like, who's better, Moffat or Davis? Is that because
No,
I just stepped.
It's just sharing each other's opinions, because sometimes, I'm not saying it is biased, but sometimes you get people on and they're completely slating Moffat or slating Russell T Davies or whatever. So it's great to have a balanced opinion, because that's a real conversation. So that's the point of this, I should expect.
Do you know what I've learned? I detest Series 2. I absolutely flat out am disgusted by it because it is so not Doctor Who. But
yeah, it's just
still Doctor
it's
Who.
just like a rom-com, Series 2.
Yeah,
I mean,
still Doctor
it's
Who. All 7, 8 series now, you know, it's still Doctor Who. I don't care who is showrunner. You know, Stephen Moffat said some shit, most recently with that Capaldi fucking vitriol that he fucking said in Doctor Who magazine, but it's Doctor Who, and as long as it is on TV, and as long as it's being produced, because it's actually quite a good standard at the moment, people shit on it, but compare it to the 80s, it's no battle. It's the whole 10 years it's been going now, just fucking wins hands down, you know.
Right.
It's good for the modern era because it's, you know, got lots of special effects. It's going places. It's discovering new things. It's making new monsters that are actually pretty good. You know, it's
but the thing is, with Series 9, what we really need to do is really need to get rid of that stupid old Gallifrey's lost plot point, and we need to get Gallifrey back, because I actually said in the chat, which if you have, obviously you don't know about it, but the chat that we all speak in, I was actually saying before, I'm not sure if it was on Google Plus or Skype, but I was actually saying that after Jenna Coleman leaves, they should actually get alien companions instead of human companions, because what the humans do, they moan and they don't ask questions as much as the original companions do. Like, we need someone like Romana, not an exact copy, but maybe if they did a new version of Romana or whatever, but we need a non-human companion to actually help the Doctor, because humans don't know what to do. But if you had like Romana, she'd know exactly what to do, and the Doctor would be able to do things better, if you get what I mean.
If it was up to me, I would have had Vastra travel with Matt Smith for a while, to tell you the truth. Because I'm completely satisfied with Vastra as a companion. And
I would be satisfied with Vastra as a companion, because
just Vastra.
There wouldn't be love interest there, would there?
We know love interest. And Vastra, you get the perception that she traveled with Matt Smith before, because it's like she's not surprised by the TARDIS. She was in there, you know. She knows everything. So if I didn't know any better, I would say that she traveled with him a little bit. So I would have had Vastra with Matt Smith. Now, if I was up to me, who I would decide after Clara left, I would really throw a monkey wrench into it, and I would have 2 female companions in there, totally different from each other, but where the focus wouldn't be on a Clara or a Amy Pond. It would be split, where you have 2 different types that, for totally different reasons, are with the Doctor, both helping him out, and then eventually I would introduce the 3rd. You know, and I would have that type of thing that, say, the 5th Doctor would have had, where he had a whole bunch of people traveling with him at one point in time. Because I did like that. Just like they kind of did the same thing with David Tennant, where in Journey's End, everybody's in the TARDIS. It was like freaking amazing.
Oh, that's the cheesiest moment in television history.
Well, it's still a lot of. He had a lot of.
It's still a good. It's an alright episode, but some of the scenes are just a bit strange.
Like, I don't agree with that the TARDIS had to have 8 pilots. I think that's baloney. But
the TARDIS needs 6 pilots.
Yeah, well, 6. I don't believe that, but that's nonsense.
Fact is
fact. That's okay. That's what Russell T Davies said, that it needs 6 pilots. But did they ever say that in the classic series?
I'm not sure. I think so.
So I mean, They'll have a showrunner or a writer that will make it like that's bullcrap too. They do things according to the way they want it. Just like, I'm very happy with Russell T Davies and Moffat, but Moffat tends to do things sometimes to piss people off.
Russell T Davies actually did loads of things that annoyed most fans, with the fact that he made the fact that a 19-year-old girl was in love with a 906-year-old alien, and this 906-year-old alien, obviously the Doctor, was okay with that. No, I'm sorry, but in my country, that's
you didn't say anything when the 8th Doctor and the companion, because technically the 8th Doctor is like 700-something years old.
Well, that movie was fucking awful.
It doesn't matter, though. But it doesn't matter if you compare him being 700 and her being in her 20s. It's the same thing as you comparing Rose Tyler being 19. And by the way, she wasn't in love with the Doctor at age 19 because she had Mickey Smith as a boyfriend, and then she didn't. And it wasn't until she was really...
Well, it was Doomsday that she fell in love.
But she wasn't 19 then. She wasn't technically 19 then. She was like 20-something.
Shit about Mickey when the
No,
Doctor...
I know, but what I'm saying is she wasn't 19 when she fell in love with the Doctor.
But that's not the point that Connor's trying to make. That's not the point. The point is that she's clearly nearly 900 years younger than he is, and it's still wrong. My problem with Series 2 is that Russell went out of his way to make it far too personal between the Doctor and Rose. For example, The Impossible Planet and the Satan's Pit, brilliant two-parter.
I loved it.
But the first part, there was the fact that, like, you had
Rose was equal to the Doctor.
Yeah, and you also had the bit like where it pretty much tried to emphasize the fact that the Doctor's like nearly in tears because he can't get Rose back.
Right.
Because it's just it's them being in love.
But it's not about. See, this is what if you really dissect the psychology of it, right? All right, let's take the Doctor now, and I'll explain to you why he was in love with Rose Tyler. All right.
I know why he was in love with Rose Tyler. I don't need it explaining to me.
Okay, well then I will explain why I think he was in love with Rose Tyler. How about that?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay. Okay. He had the Time Warp. Okay. Everybody was killed. You know, push the button, whatever. Right? Regenerates. Okay. He's lost. He's depressed. Has a different philosophy on enemies. He has a different philosophy, like, I'm just going to shoot the Daleks as soon as I see him, whatever. The only place that seems to him that could bring him happiness, to get him back to the way he was Earth. So he goes to help Earth, naturally, like he usually helps Earth. She becomes a companion, okay? She sort of gets him back to be the way he was. Because despite the tragedy of he didn't fall in love with a 19-year-old girl. He fell in love with the person inside, okay? She's
still 19
but she was 19 then, but when she was in love with him, she was 20, 21, 22, but whatever. Listen. So anyway, he started to fall for her, okay, because she brought back his humanity. I mean, after 900-something years old, okay, it's different. He's not the old guy that had the granddaughter, okay? He's in a different body, he's younger, and he's different. He moved on from this relationship, this thing, okay? He's going in different directions, okay? He's the last of his kind. He's the last of his kind.
Yeah, but Rose brought back his humanity, but how much did he bring back? Did she
Way more than ever, because the moment...
Exactly, which is wrong. It is completely against the Doctor's character.
It was the side effect of the regeneration process, because when he regenerated, he was in love with her, and he regenerated into what he believed she would like, a younger version. In fact, if you want to be technical, by absorbing the time vortex into himself, he probably saw a snippet of what David Tennant looked like in the end of time. That she saw that guy. And he could have became that face when all along it was him in it to begin with. So,
still, it's just against the laws of Doctor Who.
Well,
like, say if the first Doctor was in love with someone, he wouldn't just. It's against Doctor Who. Can you just imagine the first Doctor finding out that his future self would have actually fallen in love with a human who was hundreds of years younger than him?
Well, first of all, he didn't like any of his incarnations.
Disgusting.
He didn't like the second incarnation. He didn't like the third incarnation. He's like, oh, here we go. Like he was like, what the hell did I become in the third Doctor's? He didn't like what he became, but he's just laughing. He's like, oh my God, everything. I never thought I would be this guy. I never thought I would be this idiot. What do you call him? A something and a clown?
He called him a short clown or something, but that's besides the point.
Like,
the
he
thing
never
is,
thought he would become those people.
It's what we.
I know what you're saying. He would have a heart attack, right?
It's against Doctor Who law. Rose Tyler was brilliant in Series 1. There was no flaws in Series 1 other than Boomtown. But other than that...
But the thing is, you're Stephen Moffat, which I like Stephen Moffat too. Your Stephen Moffat made the Doctor get married. Your Stephen Moffat made, you know, all these different things happen with Clara falling for the Doctor. But
did the Doctor get led on, though? The Doctor didn't react
Not really.
to Clara falling. No. The Doctor just brushed it off. Like you were saying, it's a side effect.
He brushed it off because it sure seemed to me that Peter Capaldi's Doctor was a little bit jealous.
Maybe Matt Smith wanted to become... Maybe Matt Smith's Doctor, the 11th Doctor, wanted to become an older man, so he wouldn't get tempted and he wouldn't break the laws that he believed in, because it's just absolutely disgusting to think about what Doctor Who has become with love interest. Just leave it. We don't need love interest and everything.
Look at Peter Capaldi. Peter Capaldi was in love with Clara so much that she betrayed him, and he's like, all right, whatever you want. He'll go see Danny Pink, we'll go to hell.
No, you're missing the point with that. Peter's Doctor was jealous because it's from a maternal point of view. He sees himself as her guardian, not as a love interest. Not anymore. That was made clear in Deep Breath. I'm not your boyfriend. Even said that. It's a maternal thing.
I see Peter Capaldi's Doctor as Clara's father figure because because he's the one who's been teaching her and he's the one who looks after her. It's just like, is it love interest when a father lets his daughter go out on a first date, for him to be overprotective, for him to be jealous that this guy's just come into his daughter's life and he's going to take her away? And
I don't believe it's a father thing at all, especially since I saw Robot of Sherwood, where he got jealous that she likes Robin Hood and not him as much.
Because that's what's going on with the Doctor. The Doctor's like...
And who wrote that episode?
Jealous.
Mark Gatiss.
Yeah.
He's jealous that he's not getting enough attention, is it?
What?
He's jealous that he's not getting enough attention, and that's the thing with the because this new Doctor, he just wants to be outstanding. He wants to be. He just wants to have a moan about everything.
He's irascible. He's fucking moody all the time. You know, he wants to be.
And when he's not getting.
And now he's going to be a comedian.
And when he's not getting. Well, the thing is about this. Oh, I want to. It's because of all the new fans who have just come in at Matt Smith and like, oh, Matt Smith, he can't do anything wrong. They've not watched any of the other Doctors. They've watched 1 or 2 episodes of David Tennant, a few episodes of Christopher Eccleston. It's like, no, I love Matt Smith. They don't know anything about Doctor Who, most of these new ones. And they're complaining about Peter Capaldi. Well, guess what? That's like Peter Capaldi's probably one of Britain's best comedy actors. So...
But you know what I have a problem with Connor Smith? Is the fact that the show is about the companion and not about the Doctor. To me, that breaks every rule. Because
No. You're wrong there, because it's
What's the show's title?
It's
Doctor Who.
Not
It's
companion.
not about... It's not Clara who.
Well, it sure looks like the
people
way you
joke.
wrote it that everything is Clara.
Exactly. Which is why they need to draw attention away
Thank
from
you.
the companion and give it.
Thank you. That's what I've been saying all along.
Okay. But as I was saying, yeah, they have to give it now half and half. We have to have the companion to relate to the Doctor. That is.
Yeah, but you can't have the companion be the whole effing show.
Well, that's what Rose was.
Yeah.
When was it about Rose when it was the girl in the fireplace? When he's so in love with Madame de Pompadour, by the way.
So it still.
That he
Rose
said
was
the hell. He said the hell with Rose.
Not about Rose, but the Doctor had
I'm
another love
in the
interest
past,
in
and I'm going to help Madame de
Rose
Pompadour.
wasn't all going to be about fucking Rose.
What?
The girl in the fireplace was not about Rose because
Yeah.
the Doctor had another love interest.
Yes.
So of course it was not going to be about fucking Rose.
Right.
And to be honest, the Doctor can brush it off up until Doomsday when the Doctor's an emotionless wreck over her. And to be honest, I don't like Rose because she was good in Series 1. She was there to ask the questions. She was there to help out. She wasn't there to fall in love with the Doctor. She wasn't there to break the rules. She wasn't there to make people have these arguments that we're having right now. She was there. She was supposed to.
Sorry, continue.
No, go on.
I was just going to say it's completely hypocritical the way that Tennant reacted in Doomsday because what did he say in School Reunion outside the cafe? You can live the whole of your life with me, but I can't live the whole of my life with you. I have to move on. So if
when he regenerates,
and he was sure that he felt that way, and that he coped with the way that Sarah Jane left, why all of a sudden can he not cope with Rose leaving? It's because Moffat's written Rose like someone that is up the Doctor's ass, basically.
But let me explain something to you. That whole thing with School Reunion was trying to say that he was in love with Sarah Jane Smith at one point in time.
He was in love as a friend.
As a friend.
Okay.
Seriously think that Tom Baker, as the Doctor, would have been in love with Sarah Jane like that?
That would never happen, but yeah.
Yeah,
never happened.
What I'm trying to get at is Russell T Davies saw Rose as an opportunity to change Doctor Who drastically, and to be honest, to add that new dynamic to Doctor Who is ridiculous because Doctor Who is a time traveller. He's not a guy who falls in love with other species. He's supposed to stick to his own roots, and then when the Doctor Who movie, I know it isn't Russell T Davies, but when the Doctor Who movie revealed that he's kind of half human, it's just ridiculous. It's ripping off.
The show shouldn't even be considered
in some of Russell T Davies episodes when they have the no, it was ripping off Star Wars, but Matt Smith's made one or two references to Vulcan, but is that Vulcan from Star Trek? But
no,
Russell T Davies
it's Vulcan from the planet from the Daleks that he's talking about.
Exactly, but it's still a little tiny little reference. That is it there or is it not a reference? But who knows?
Listen, the Doctor, as Moffat said, lies. Okay.
The Doctor does lie, yeah.
Okay, so when he said he's half human, he lied. The TARDIS lied to the Master. The TARDIS is not going to show the Master any weakness with the Doctor. What? What?
Anyone that considers anything in the TV movie that was ever stated in the TV movie to be contrary to whatever was stated before or has now been stated afterwards should just ignore it because the TV movie shouldn't even be in canon anymore.
Stephen Moffat said that he's not half human.
Yeah, he's not half human. He's a fucking Time Lord. Of course he's not half human.
Even Russell T Davies said he's not half human. So.
Yeah, but I'm just saying we should just.
I agree with you. Get away from the love nonsense. I agree with you.
Exactly, and we should, in these next few series, they should sort of, to be honest, how many people here would be annoyed if they brought back Romana but as a different face, not Layla Ward? How many?
How many? She was supposed to come back. She was Lady Christina Del Souza. That's who Romana was. But because Russell T. Davies was leaving, he said he wasn't going to make her Romana. But that's what they were hinting at with David Tennant. She would have been the companion for another whole year with Russell T. Davies and David Tennant had he stayed. They would have revealed it, and she would have been Romana.
Well, they should just...
I agree with you, but my point is that, you know, I like both Russell T. Davies and Stephen Moffat. I like Russell T. Davies a little more, but I like Stephen Moffat's episodes, like, that he actually wrote, you know, in a sense, sometimes more than Russell T. Davies. I mean, it's back and forth. I think Stephen Moffat's episodes were I always called him a genius. I always said, but the only problem I have with Stephen Moffat is he doesn't follow through. He doesn't follow up. It's like he'll do a two-parter and the second part falls flat, or he doesn't explain the stuff. He doesn't take the time characterization to finish what mysteries he's creating for years. You know, I really don't want a throwaway line to explain the girl in the shop giving Clara the number. You could add a whole episode on that crap.
Well, it was confirmed that it was Missy.
I know they did, but they could have did other stuff other than, oh yeah, by the way, it was me. But
you could have a whole episode focused on the fact that some woman that later turned out to be Missy handed Clara a number.
You could have showed that every single time Missy tried to interfere with the 11th Doctor, River Song was there to screw it up. And then you see that's why she didn't encounter the 11th Doctor. It's because of River Song. And then River Song's completely dead, and then now she's, you know, battling the 12th.
Well, the Doctor Who universe doesn't just revolve around the river.
I know that, but still.
River's... The thing with River is, as much as I like her, she isn't the Doctor's guardian. The Doctor's his own guardian. The Doctor can do whatever he likes. Right. So that statement saying that River's stopping Missy is completely wrong, because Missy's been hiding away. Missy's got a master plan. Missy's got all this going.
I would have a story. I'm not saying that's the way it was. I'm saying that I would have a thing to explain why she didn't encounter the 11th Doctor. You know,
she didn't encounter the 11th Doctor.
The 11th Doctor because she was stuck on Gallifrey or whatever, or wherever she went at the end of time.
Maybe she did encounter the 11th Doctor, like you said before. The Doctor lies.
Right. You could have an episode, you know, this year where you'll have Matt Smith back or something.
Well,
never know.
No, it's too early. No, it's too early.
Doctor.
It's Peter Capaldi's time now. We're not having any Doctor back. It's Peter Capaldi's time.
They already broke those rules, Connor Smith, where they had Matt Smith in the friggin' deep breath.
Right, the purpose of that, let me get this absolutely crystal.
I know what the purpose of it is, to show Clara, here's your boyfriend, this is me, I am older now, accept it.
So that's not breaking a rule, that's just a cameo appearance to get us, as well as Clara, settled with this new Doctor.
I understand why they did it, and I knew they were going to do that when I saw the Time of the Doctor, because I knew there was a reason why that thing was open with the phone. And why he acted weird to her, because he already said goodbye to her on the phone. So that's why he was kind of cold to her in the TARDIS when he regenerated.
Can I just say this now? The whole thing going on with the Doctor Who fandom, I hate that word fandom, by the way, I just like the word fandom.
I don't like that either.
The whole thing going on with the Doctor Who fans is the fact that we've got all these new fans, and it's great that we've got new fans coming in, taking an interest in Doctor Who. But you got to realise, because these haven't watched these Doctors since they began, these haven't watched regenerations as it happened. I've watched the last 3 Doctors regenerate as it happened. Now these have just come along and like, oh, I know who's the Doctor next, I like him, so I'm just going to watch Doctor Who now, because he's going to be Matt Smith and I'm not going to be that sad because he's going to be coming back. They can't handle the fact that an older man is playing the role of an old man.
I'm playing it better than the previous one, in my opinion.
He's been playing it better than the past, from up to the 5th Doctor. He's been playing it better from
Well,
all them.
I, from someone who's watched Doctor Who since 1979, could say that I've been there for the classic series. Okay, Tom Baker was my Doctor, and I liked David Tennant as the 10th.
Yeah.
Now, as far as Peter
saying
Capaldi
that-
goes, I am happy that Peter Capaldi took over. Okay, I was happy with the announcement. Okay, do I think he's better than David Tennant or Tom Baker? You know, he just started. So let's give the guy a couple of years to, let's see. You know, because you can't base Peter Capaldi's performance on a year to be better than the many years that Tom Baker was a Doctor.
Yeah, exactly. And can I just say now, I was, obviously, as I said at the beginning when I was talking about my thing, I was talking to my dad about it. My dad has watched Doctor Who since Robot, that's the episode. Since
Right, the first episode, Tom Baker.
Yeah, and he's actually got a funny story about when he watched that episode and he didn't get to watch it again for a couple of years because my grandma was on the phone the whole time and the TV was muted and they were just sat there in awe watching Tom Baker but not hearing what he's saying but still laughing at him coming out the TARDIS and doing all these funny things. And he was saying that he actually told me, and I said, really, Dad? Because he said Tom Baker was always his Doctor, and he stopped watching Doctor Who when Colin Baker came on because he was just vile, apparently. But I've not watched that much Colin Baker. I watched a bit of the Two Doctors. I thought, no, I don't like him. But that's just first impressions, so I'll just...
Well, to me, like when Colin Baker, the Sixth Doctor, choked the companion, as a fan,
he choked Perry
that broke the rules for me for Doctor Who, where I'm like, that crossed the line for me.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, crossing the line with you is the romance. I would never see the Doctor hurt one of his companions.
Yeah.
With the exception of course, the first Doctor trying to hurt Ian Chesterton. You know, that's different, but, you know.
Yeah, but saying that, right, okay. So, as I was saying, my dad actually told me about, I say last year, that he thought, right, and you're all going to disagree, this is going to say, oh, what's he taking? But my dad actually told me that since Tom Baker, Matt Smith has been the best Doctor, right? And I disagree because you can't say that because, you know, obvious reasons, the 8-year tenure, that 8 or 7 year, I can't remember, it was 8, yeah. Yeah, it was definitely, I think it was 73 to 81. Yeah, it was 8 years, and he was the Doctor, and you can't, my dad told me that he thought Matt Smith has been the best Doctor so far, and he made a comment saying that the 10th Doctor was very feminine, and I agree with that because the 10th Doctor was feminine.
I don't agree with that.
He acted feminine, he cried.
Doctor was feminine.
I do not agree with that at all.
10th Doctor was feminine.
There's aspects of his character that could be considered feminine, but...
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why John Pertwee's third Doctor was the man.
Exactly. Yeah, John Pertwee, one of the best Doctors in my opinion, because he was more doctorish than fucking Matt Smith and David Tennant were.
Well, Tom Baker gets the iconic status because of the fact that he's like the one that really made it in America and the one that was really sold over here. And you know, I like Tom Baker's Doctor, but I think like Pertwee, you know, to me is still the better Doctor between the two. I think Baker's more iconic, but my preference is John Pertwee. I think that you know, to a lot of people in the UK, like at the time in the classic series, like Pertwee was just as much the Doctor as Tom Baker.
Each Doctor has a different dynamic, but the 10th Doctor's dynamic, it was right. Okay, let me get it across. Series 2, volatile or whatever you want to say, rubbish. I wouldn't say I hate it because the 10th Doctor had some funny moments and a bit of banter. As some people find that word obnoxious, but I like saying it. The 10th Doctor had banter. Series 3, I reckon it was just written for Rose, and you know, it was Martha was just
what series?
A rip-off of Rose, basically.
What series?
Series 3.
She wasn't even in Series 3.
I can see what he's saying. It was written like Martha was written like Rose, being like the jealous. Like she was jealous, you know, because Rose was constantly mentioned. You know, she was also in love with the Doctor, although it was not made clear.
Whereas Donna
Had Rose.
Donna wasn't having any of that. Donna wasn't having the Doctor fall in love with her. Donna basically said, Donna basically told you, "Come near me, and I'll do this and that to you." Well, she didn't say it to him, but when she said things like, "Well, I'm not going with you, spaceman," and all that sort of things, that is basically what she was trying to say. And Donna really is what saved Russell T Davies' neck, as some people will say, because I'm getting sick of lovey-dovey stuff.
Yes, I've been listening to a lot of this conversation. I was just going to weigh in at this point and say I agree with most of what everyone's talking about, but Rose, I think, had such a prominent part in the first episode because they needed to have an anchor to establish reintroducing the Doctor to people who weren't aware of who this character is, and the easiest way to create that rapport is to use that main companion as a conduit for the viewer to learn about the Doctor. That only makes sense. But after that, like that whole first season was like they were buddies traveling around.
Yeah.
But I agree. What happened was that somewhere like in season 2, I can see like what was going on is they're like, hey, you know, let's get a little fan wank started by having the Doctor, because we have this young attractive blonde girl and, you know, we have this youngish Doctor, so let's create this love interest sort of thing that we can. And see, a lot of shows they end up doing that, where they create this like romantic tension going on, or just blatant romance, and it's just
it's not necessary for a TV show or a movie can work without a love story, and I find it ridiculous that even today in children's movies they use the idea of love as one of the main parts. Which is stupid. And the fact that they did it in Doctor Who, it must be a massive mug-off for most people.
Like, I don't have a problem with Rose in Series 1. She had some good moments, especially in Empty Child and The Doctor Dances, but in Series 2, she just completely went backwards, and it just turned into Romeo and Juliet.
I actually like Series 2. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I like.
I'm not saying like the whole entire series, because you know you got the Impossible Planet, Satan's Pit, School Reunion.
Girl in the Fireplace.
I mean, and the Cybermen two-parter. I mean,
I didn't like the Cyberman two-parter for various reasons, but Girl in the Fireplace as well. Those 4 episodes were kind of the best for me in that particular series, and that's 4. That's 4 episodes out of a series of what, 13?
So you don't like when they went to the alternate reality?
Well, no. Exactly. That's ruining the Cybermen. They weren't they weren't made in an alternate reality.
Correct, they weren't. But
exactly.
How do you know? Here's the thing. How do you know? Okay, I just want to explain something.
Cybermen.
I know, but wait. I want to explain something to you. 1 second.
Well, please do explain something to me.
Okay. First of all, we've seen that the Time Lords, when the Time War was happening, tried to escape out of the universe, and so did the Daleks. The Daleks had experimented traveling through realities. They had a ship, a void ship, that was in between realities. So who's to say that the Cybermen, when the Time War was going on, somehow didn't plant the plans in an alternate reality for them to build? Because if you look at that episode, those 2-parters, and Victory of the Daleks, right? It's the same friggin' story. Mark Gatiss basically took that story and said, hey, I'm going to make this idiot think that he created the Daleks, the Ironsides. It was the same story. So why couldn't, like, let's say the Cybermen leave the plans?
It wasn't the same story.
Why?
The Daleks manipulated this man, and they made this man. But
how do you know in that reality? How do you know in that reality? Here's the thing, okay? It's an alternate reality. So maybe there's Gallifrey. Maybe there's Cybermen. Maybe there's a Doctor. You don't know.
No, because then you're just going to completely rip the ship apart. That's just...
I mean, look at Inferno. Inferno had another Brigadier, another Liz Shaw.
Inferno, again, one episode, one story, that's fine. Perfect in one, but it's not like that. I think we've just got to, I think we're just kind of...
We get too deep. I understand what you're saying. You don't want to get too deep where,
no,
oh my
I want
God.
to get deep. I'm just saying that I think we're just missing the point.
Maybe the Valyard came from that reality. I mean, who knows? I know what you're saying. Let's just be simple with that.
All I'm saying is that the fact that the Cybermen were in an alternate universe, that means that it's not a man this man actually made the Cybermen, which is wrong because the Cybermen are evolved. They're not made, they evolve. So to actually use it as a plot point to make people think that a man alone made the Cybermen is just ridiculous, and to bring the Cybermen back via that is just preposterous.
Yeah, I was not happy with that at all. First of all,
and then
with that concept.
And you have that as the first Cyberman story of the whole entire New Who. Where has it come up again? It's not being explored, apart from in Doomsday. It's not ever been explored ever again. Which
they didn't even explain.
So now that's completely void. That's pointless. It is absolutely pointless. What is the point in referring to it if it's not even being explored again? We haven't seen the Cybermen again, have we? We haven't seen...
Well, the Nightmare in Silver was the... Wasn't it?
I can't remember. But
well, closing time, they had the Cybermites, just like in the past classic series.
That's not. No, I'm not saying that. The Cybermen.
That's what I'm talking about.
The Cybermites weren't Cybers.
I know what you're saying. You're talking about the Modus. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's Mondasian Cybermen, and there's the Cybers, which were created by John Lumick.
Right.
Right.
But they were in. Okay, the John Loomis's Cybermen were in Nightmare in Silver, 2 of them. But then we had both Cybermen races in Nightmare in Silver, didn't we?
I think as US.
They need to explain it basically. That's one of the plot holes I'm trying to say. Moffat needs to explain that. There you go. There's one of the plot holes. You want Moffat to fix everything, Connor Smith? That's one of the ones he needs to solve. What the hell is the story with the Cybermen? Is it that they both merged together? Is it one race in the alternate reality? Is it this race?
It's because of Russell T Davies that happened.
I know that, but Moffat needs to explain it.
Moffat doesn't need to, because it's not his plot point. It's not his mistake. It's not his mistake to make, because if people...
No, but he solved the Time War, though. He explained in Day of the Doctor, Moffat, that they didn't kill Gallifrey, so why can't he explain the Cybermen?
What
I don't know why he can't explain the Cybermen, but...
First of all.
What?
What does he need to explain about the Cybermen, first of all? Why they were created in a parallel universe?
No, he needs to explain the Cybermen we have now. Are they the Cybers or the other?
Well, we don't have the Cybers anymore. They haven't appeared since Series 2.
I thought they appeared in Nightmare in Silver.
Well, they were completely different design.
If they were going to travel from an alternate universe, they'd rip a hole.
There's clearly a hole in my knowledge here, because
there was 2 Cybermen sitting next to the kids in that episode.
So there was 2. That's not. Well, my point is that we haven't seen them as the main.
I know. Basically, off screen, somehow they must have got together and just merged together as one Cyberman race. Somehow.
Well.
Somehow. Exactly. Because in closing time, supposedly that was supposed to be our Cybermen.
They were actually in the next Doctor as well. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, well, not one of my favorite episodes, but for obvious reasons.
Yeah, but as we were saying, the whole
look, you want it solved. I want it solved. What's the story with the Cybermen?
I don't know what the story with the Cybermen is because I don't know what Russell T Davies' intentions were.
Right. All right. Let's get back to topic. So you're happy that Moffat solved a lot of the problems and fixed it up, right? Were you discussion?
Yeah. It's just Moffat fixed the fact that the Doctor isn't in love. It's the companion who's in love, and Russell T Davies made that the Doctor was in love. But Russell T Davies made so the Doctor isn't in love.
But Moffat also got the Doctor married to the Queen.
But
He was never officially married.
According to Moffat.
Yeah, well, we never actually saw it on screen, so...
But Russell T Davies said that it was.
What are you talking about?
Okay, we're talking about Russell T Davies, right?
Yeah.
And Stephen Moffat. Now, there was some little... Right now we're talking about when the Doctor and Day the Doctor married, the Queen. And how Russell T Davies had said, he mentioned that in the end of time, that the Doctor, before he arrived with the Ood, he got married, and he did this, and he did that. And Moffat's vision of that he wasn't really married to the Queen, and Russell T Davies's vision are conflicting. That's what we're talking about right this second. But overall, we were talking about Connor Smith's hypothesis that Moffat, basically is fixing Doctor Who and fixing it right compared to the way Russell T Davies had it.
Oh God, no! He's doing the exact opposite of what. I mean, Russell. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of the RTD era, but at least he stayed within continuity and realized that the Master was not a woman. I mean, it's just. I don't know. I mean, the whole Doctor getting married. The only one I really think he married was the one on Gallifrey. I mean, River Song, all that, I don't count them. It's just. I mean, Doctor's not supposed to be like that, so I don't see Doctor marrying Elizabeth or the Doctor marrying River Song. I mean, he was in a Tesselector as well, so.
All right. Mike D, you want to weigh in on any of this? No? Connor Farley?
I've said all I needed to say, really, to be honest. But.
Okay. Connor Smith?
I actually have to go now, so...
All right. All right, guys. That's it for now. Take care. Bye for now.